So my little kitty is sitting on my lap. Say hi, Jackie. What's that? What's that? She's such a purr. My brother-in-law found her. She was a stray, and he brought her home here because we have another cat, and we love animals, but they're not getting along right now. She is so tiny though. So she was asleep on my chair, and I couldn't move her, so I just put her on my lap instead. But oh, now she wants to play. Hey lovelies, welcome. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining me. My name's Roxanne and welcome to my channel. If you are not new, thanks so much for coming back. I really appreciate you clicking on the video. So today I'm going to share the best and worst palettes that I purchased in 2018. I was going to do like my favorite products of 2018 or products I don't regret buying in 2018, and I kind of wanted to do something along those lines, but I didn't want to do like the same idea. I chose to do palettes this time because there are so many like hits and misses that I really found this year. There are so many palettes I purchased in 2018, you guys. It is ridiculous. So I chose about 10 of them to talk to you guys about whether they were a hit or a miss. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump in, you guys, and we'll get started, and I'll share with you my best and worst palette purchases of 2018. I have a lot to share with you today. I'm just going to pull them out in random order, and then you can be the judge of whether or not you want to purchase these palettes in 2019. So one of the palettes I purchased kind of later on in the year was the Kat Von D Lolita palette. I was actually really excited for this launch, and I was going to do a video on it, but I just couldn't fall in love with the palette, and it wasn't the pigmentation, or it wasn't the formulation, it was just the color scheme. I mean, they're definitely beautiful shades, and someone who wears cool tones or who wears berries would absolutely love them, but myself, I just don't wear them enough to really give this palette any love. So I don't like regret buying it. I just don't. I guess I do regret buying it. Knowing that I don't wear a lot of these shades, I just feel like I could have spent my money on something a little better. I was shopping at Sephora in like November or something when it first launched, and I picked it up thinking, oh, I'll play with it, I'll try it out, I'll start using purples, and never did. So I don't know, I may give it another shot in 2019, but I just feel like if I had the chance to like go back and decide sitting, you know, or standing in front of the little doohickey at Sephora, I probably would have changed my mind on this. And again, it's not because of the formulation or pigmentation, because they're absolutely beautiful, but I just don't wear enough of these cool tone or purple shades to really enjoy the palette. I mean, I still have the box. I think I only used it like one time, but it is a good palette. So if you guys do like purples or cool tones, then I suggest you going out and buying it because it is a good quality palette. Okay, so the next two I have are influencer palettes, Androgyny palette from Jeffree Star, and then Laura Lee's Nudie Patootie. So okay, let me just give a disclaimer. I know that some of these did not get made or did not like launch in 2018, but that's when I bought them. So let me just kind of make that clear. So these are palettes I purchased in 2018 that I either liked or disliked. So just because I know I'm going to get a comment, that didn't launch in 2018. I know that. Okay. These two palettes right here were both duds for me, I guess. I'll start with Laura Lee's Nudie Patootie. So this was a huge like hype up on her channel, and everyone was so excited about getting it, and so excited about the launch, and so excited about, you know, Laura Lee is coming out with a palette and da-da-da-da-da. And we're not even going to get into the drama about Laura Lee because I try to stay away from all of that ish, but I'm just talking about the sheer quality of the palette. So the quality of this palette is just okay. It's not great, it's not awful, but I only played with it I think twice, and after that I just set it aside. I didn't love it. I didn't love the pigmentation, I didn't love the quality, I didn't love the blendability, I didn't love the color scheme. It didn't make sense to me. A lot of people really loved it. I mean, I do like that she gives you a nice mirror, but I just didn't find a total need for these shades, and some of the quality didn't work. It wasn't good. So this was one of the palettes I definitely do regret a little bit buying in 2018, just because I feel like it was a waste of money. It was super expensive for what it was, and I just probably would have made a different choice had I did a little more research and a little more, like, watched a little more review on it, because I was not a happy camper when I tried this out. Initially on my channel, I liked it. And then after playing with it a second time and like posting some pictures on Instagram, I was like, nope, bye-bye. And then the next one I want to talk about is Jeffree Star's Androgyny. Here's why it was a dud. Okay, so this is a good palette. Like, all of Jeffree Star is good, let's be real. But I just feel like I was stupid in buying this because when have you guys ever seen me use these on my channel? Now, I want to branch out and kind of start to use the palettes that have more color because I can do it. I have a talent, you know, for makeup, and I know that I can do it. But it's out of my comfort zone. So I need to let myself breathe a little where that's concerned. And I probably will end up using this palette more in 2019. One of my biggest resolutions is to use the products I actually have, because these palettes are just palettes I can see. And we tend to use the most of products that we can see. Like, I'm sure I could talk about a ton more palettes I bought in 2018 that are in my actual like clear drawers, but these are the ones that were on my vanity or in my little palette organizer that I pulled to talk about in this video, because that's just naturally where our brain goes. And this was one of those palettes. So it's not that I don't like it. I mean, the mirror is great too. It's that I am not comfortable using these colors. So I'm going to try in 2019 to really step outside my comfort zone and use these shades so that I can get some use out of this palette, because it is a very good palette. I just at the time regret buying it because it's when I first started on YouTube and I wasn't comfortable in my own skin and I was still kind of deciding where I wanted to go with my channel. But now that I do have more confidence on, you know, in front of the camera and on here, I probably will end up using this a little bit more. So a lot of people had trouble with the Vault palettes. I get it. It was kind of like we all know the story. And if you don't, I'll try to find a video and put it in the description bar somewhere. I found 50-50 with the Vault palettes. There were two that I absolutely loved that were great quality and two that just completely sucked. This set as a whole was not good, and we all know it here on YouTube. We all know it in the beauty influencer community. We all know it as a, you know, a consensus for a generalized society. I regret buying the Vault. I should have done more research and bought one or two of the ones I knew I was going to use, but I wanted to have the Vault for the Vault's sake, you know, because that's what we do as beauty influencers. We buy to have the set, we buy to have, you know, whatever it is that's coming out to review on our channels. Had I not been a beauty influencer, I probably would not have even purchased the Vault itself. Now, the one that I really did like, I think, is Armed and Gorgeous. Yeah, so I use this one quite a lot, the Armed and Gorgeous palette. It is very, very good. The other one that I like is okay, but there are two that just completely, like, are sucky. So these are definitely like a set that I do regret buying in 2018. I wish I would have done a little more research before I did so. And yeah, that's what I'm going to say about the Vault. So I am going to put these into just one category for the sake of time. There were three palettes by Anastasia Beverly Hills that were stunning. Now, we all know about the Modern Renaissance and the Subculture and the Prism, but the three palettes that I do not regret buying, nor I don't think I'll ever regret buying, are the Soft Glam, the Sultry, and the Norvina. Now, I love them all for very different reasons. I've talked about these in my Best and Worst of Anastasia Beverly Hills video, but I've gotten so much use out of the Soft Glam. This is like right up my alley, these kinds of colors. And then the Sultry palette, I'm kind of making my way through. It has some shades I'm kind of iffy about, but it's still an amazing palette. And then the Norvina palette, there are definitely shades in here I absolutely love. I think for spring, I'll use the Norvina palette a lot more, but these three palettes are definitely some of my best purchases in 2018. I do not regret buying them. I feel like I did a really good investment, or I made a really good investment buying these, and so I'm super happy that I purchased these in general. I always try to purchase Anastasia's palettes because they are so good normally, like on a, you know, on an average basis. So these were really, really good palettes. I'm really glad that I purchased them, and they have made a lot of my looks super beautiful. I've kept the boxes, all of that stuff. I just really think that they're amazing palettes. They're super good quality. If I were to choose one, I would probably tell you guys to get the Soft Glam because it is a super pretty warm tone palette. They have amazing shades in here. I mean, I've already made my way through half the palette and I'll probably be repurchasing it, but definitely pick this one up if you're trying to decide which one to get, because that one was my favorite of the bunch. So I'm going to talk about two palettes that I was kind of like on the fence about, and one of them's from Too Faced and one of them from Urban Decay. Now these were really, really good palettes. A lot of people loved them. I just kind of couldn't get into them. So the color scheme is gorgeous. Again, right out my alley, colors I use all the time, but I just couldn't find myself, I don't know, I couldn't bring myself to use them as much as I wanted to. So this one is the Too Faced Gingerbread palette. It is a really pretty palette, you guys. I love the palettes in the tins. I think that they're really great palettes. And these colors are amazing. Like even, oh God, I love the smell of Too Faced palettes. But I mean, you guys can see I barely made a dent in any of them. I mean, these are gorgeous colors. I think it's kind of like trying to be a dupe or on the train of the modern renaissance. I've used Warm and Toasty, which is the gold. I've used Gingerbread Latte. I've used Hot Toddy. I've used Spice is Nice. I've used a lot of these colors, but only once or twice. I got this at Macy's, where I currently work, for a deal. So that's kind of why I was like, I'm on the fence. I don't know. But I'm really glad that I did purchase it. I waited for it to go on sale, and that's when I purchased this. Now, again, it's not an awful palette. It's a really good palette. I just am on the fence about it because I haven't played with it enough. So definitely going to play with this one this year. I don't regret buying it, but I feel like I wish I would have bought it at a time where I knew that I was going to use it multiple times, and I knew that I was going to get a lot of use out of it. So still a good palette, still really enjoy it, still happy I bought it, but just one that I'm kind of like, ooh, man, am I going to use it kind of a thing. So going along again with the Born to Run palette, this is the second one that I was kind of like on the fence about. Now I absolutely love the premise. I think this is an amazing idea. Urban Decay hit it out of the park with the packaging. This entire line was really, really good. I think Urban Decay did an amazing job at this launch. I think that all of the products were really good. I bought almost everything in the line, but this palette right here, the mirror, first of all, is phenomenal. I love this palette, I really do. But some of the shades were a little for me. Now, a lot of people love this palette, little more on the pricey side. A lot of people really love this palette. I was just kind of like, man, am I going to use all of that? The Gingerbread palette is very similar to the Born to Run palette. If you hold them up side by side, the only difference is that the Born to Run has those blues and the Gingerbread doesn't. So they're very, very similar like palettes, which is why I'm like, do I really need both? But of course, I'm a beauty influencer. I need all the things. But this one right here, I've used obviously mostly this side. I've touched these a couple of times. I actually did a tutorial with this palette. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put it in the cards right here. I used this blue right here, and it's really, really a pretty shade. I just, again, want to use it more. I will probably pick this up a little more than I normally would, just because I want to try to use more of the colors in it. So the blues and the pinks, I definitely want to open myself up to those shades this year. I want to use more of the blues, the pinks. I want to really get into this as a palette that I know that I will love and use and work with, because it is a beautiful palette. Good pigmentation, good blendability. Just a couple of the shades were like for me, but I'm going to play with those. I'm going to talk about the Too Faced chocolate bar real quick. This was one of my best purchases of 2018. Even though I haven't used it a lot, the shades in here are phenomenal. The foiled shades in here are gorgeous. I was really happy that they chose to include matte shades in here, even though there's only 3 or 4. I feel like it was a good choice on Too Faced's part to include, or Jared, I guess, the owner of Too Faced, to include the 4 shades here that were just matte, strictly matte. I love the pink in here. Again, I don't use a lot of color. We've already talked about that, but this pink is like a purple tone, and it's absolutely stunning. And the shades right here, this gold shade and this green shade, are really beautiful together. I don't find a lot of greens that I love. The green shade in this palette, it's called Money Bags. It's absolutely stunning with my eye color, and the gold together, like as a duo, is really, really, really beautiful. I use this palette quite a lot, even though it doesn't look like it. It's because the pans are so big, especially the gold shade. I was digging that gold shade for like 2 months straight. I was putting it on my lid. This is probably one of my most favorite palettes by Too Faced ever, and that's, you know, a big thing to say considering I have so many palettes. This was a really, really good investment. I'm going to continue to use it, hopefully hit pan on some of these shades, but a really great palette. And the packaging, I mean, the packaging itself is just super, super sleek and sexy. So one of my favorite palettes of 2018, and I'm so glad that I decided to purchase it. Okay, so I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this because a lot of people liked this palette, but I absolutely hated it. And I don't know if it was because of the color scheme or just that it was crap. I love her as a person, but the nude palette from Huda Beauty is awful. I just could not get into it. So there's a really nice mirror, but these shades, you guys, especially the glitter ones, now I don't know if it's because I wasn't using it right or what, but I talked to a girlfriend at work and she hates it for the same reasons. The glitter is super chunky, super hard to work with. The ones that have like the big chunks of glitter, even more difficult to work with. The mattes do not blend. I just did not like this at all. I didn't like the color scheme. I didn't find that it was a good palette. I just didn't. I don't know if you guys bought this or if you've tried it or if you like it. I just didn't. It was one of the palettes that I probably regret the most in 2018. I was super sad because I really wanted to love it, but it just wasn't good. I couldn't find a use for it. I couldn't blend it. It would just look like I had bruises on my eyes. I had to take it off. I just really didn't like it. So this was probably one of the worst purchases for me in the palette department of 2018. This palette, it just was a big flop for me. Hated it. My last two palettes, you guys, were my favorites of 2018. The Too Faced Gold Bar is a close third, but these two palettes were the best palettes that I purchased in 2018. I'm going to start with Pat McGrath Labs palette. This is the Mothership Sublime Bronze Ambition Eye palette. It's the mini version, but this palette right here, even though there are only 6 shades, this is a remarkable palette. You guys, if you have not tried a Pat McGrath palette, I highly recommend you try it. It's just an amazing brand. So there weren't a lot of shades in here. You got one matte and the rest were like shimmers and satins. You did get a huge mirror. I love just the way that it kind of, I don't know, I love the way it folds. I talked about this in my luxury video a couple of months ago or a few months ago because this is one of the best purchases I've ever made. This palette is stunning. These shades are stunning. The way that they perform on the eye, the way that they blend, the way that they swatch, they're just remarkable. Pat McGrath kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm so glad for that brand because this is a remarkable palette right here. One of the best purchases I made of all of my makeup in 2018. It was a really, really good purchase, and I'm super, super glad that I got it. The last palette I want to talk to you guys about was actually given to me by my husband for my birthday. I had been wanting this palette for a really long time. The newer one had just come out, and this one was kind of on the back burner a little bit, but I knew that I wanted it. This is the Natasha De Noa Sunset palette. Her gold palette had just launched, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, like I want it, but I'm not really a huge like fan of the shades. And then my husband surprised me with this palette. I thought he was gonna get me the gold palette, and I was like, oh gosh, no. But this was a sunset palette, and this is it's an amazing palette, you guys. So this is the mirror that they have, but the shades in this palette are remarkable. If you guys have never tried Natasha De Noa, I almost like her better than Visart. I have 2 Visart palettes. They're okay. I mean, their mattes are amazing, but Natasha's shimmers or like her pigments are so good. This palette reminds me a lot of like Morphe's color scheme, not the formulation by any means, but just like the way that Morphe puts their palettes, or there's another one too, Violet Voss. She also puts her palettes in this kind of a color scheme, but Natasha De Noa is in a league of her own. I mean, you guys, she has some amazing products, and this palette is definitely one of my favorites. This was an expensive palette. It was over $100, and I don't ever really purchase those kinds of products for myself. So when my husband surprised me with it on my birthday, I was so excited. This palette is amazing. I used it for like 2 weeks straight. I couldn't get enough of it. I love it so much. I still use it now. It is an amazing palette. I absolutely love it. If you have like a gift card, or you have like the points card, the rewards card, it's you can get it in the Rewards Bazaar. If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's $100 you get for 2,500 points. I would recommend getting yourself either this palette or a Pat McGrath palette, because those are going to be really great investments, and you have, you know, $100 in points, so you might as well, because it's around that same price. But this palette, you guys, I still have it in the box because I'm trying to protect it as long as possible. I like it that much. So this is my #1 purchase, my #1 favorite palette of the year, and I'm so very glad that I got it for my birthday. Okay, you guys, so I could probably talk about 10 or 15 more palettes that I have sitting right in front of me, but I wanted to narrow it down to like a 25-30 minute video. Let me know in the comments down below if there are any palettes that you didn't like in 2018, or some that maybe you regret buying, or any of these palettes I talked about that you were kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum, some that you didn't like, some that you did. I really want to hear from you guys and what your experiences are, because everyone is different with makeup, and that's just the great thing about makeup, is it's the most creative thing that you could do. It's an artistic ability, and it's amazing. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more of this as a series, like my whatever of 2018. I would love to go ahead and do that for you guys. I have a lot coming for you, so make sure that you stay tuned to my channel. So I hope you do stick around. I'm sorry this video was so long, but thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And remember to live, love, and laugh as if it were your last moment. That's it. I will see you all in my next video. Take care and take care of each other. Mwah. Bye.